Hello everyone. Thank you very much for joining our online event. I'm very happy to run this event today because it's very special in my opinion, because the whole event and the whole webinar is based on your questions. First of all, I want to say huge thank you for all of you who registered to our webinar, who sent us questions. We received so many questions and I will try to do my best to answer everything. And because there are so many questions, what we have done, we have grouped all your questions by topic, and I really want you to, when you see your question and when you hear the answer, just to mark plus in the chat that shows that you are here and then you received the answer to your questions. I also want to say how I prepared the webinar. So as I mentioned earlier, all the questions are grouped by topics. All the questions will be shown twice, before the introduction for the topic and then after. So before any topic, you will see whether your question is there or not. After that, I will cover the general information for the subject, and then the question will be there again. So I will just make sure that you will get your answers. And now that we're getting ready, I will also be very happy to start with the first question that I ask at every webinar. Where are you now? Are you already in Cyprus, or are you abroad and only thinking about moving to our wonderful island? So if you can just type quickly, where are you? It will really help me, and it always makes me feeling that we are talking to each other, that it's not just me talking to the computer, that there is actually a very, very active discussion. So I can see Dubai, UK, Dubai, Poland. Amazing. And guys, what else I want to say, that wherever there is a question, when I'm saying, please write in the chat. This makes me very happy. It makes our webinar interactive, and be active. And I hope that you will see the answers to your questions. And I can see UK, Cyprus, Israel, possibly moving to Limassol. So I really hope that our today's webinar will make your choice and will make your move easier. So again, ask us anything. You could have asked any questions, and actually some of the questions are amazing, and we will see them together now. So first of all, let me also introduce myself. My name is Anastasia Yianni, and I'm the CEO and partner of Cyprus Sotheby's International Realty. But also, I'm the person who 25 years ago moved to Cyprus, and for 24 years, I'm working in Cyprus real estate market. I'm also a mother. I have two wonderful children who went to, one of them already finished school, another one is still at school. I have my parents here, I live here, so it's not only personal, it's not only professional, it's also very personal. And that's why we're already going to talk about lifestyle, about the lifestyle in Cyprus, like Daniel is asking now, how's the lifestyle in Cyprus? More chilled and laid back, or hustling and bustling? That's what we're going to discuss today. Cyprus Sotheby's International Realty is part of the large international network. Sotheby's International Realty is one of the largest network of luxury real estate brokerage present in 84 countries. And what it means for us, it means that we always keep global perspective. It means that we always try to understand how is life in the country of our potential investors? What are other options for them? Is Cyprus suitable for them or not? So we have local knowledge, but global perspective. We have already been working in Cyprus for 5 years as a company. We work all over Cyprus with developers and private sellers. We are a fully licensed company, very multilingual, and with people passionate about Cyprus and passionate about Cyprus real estate. So let's start. And I want to tell you something in advance as well, because when I received all the questions, I was thinking, how can I do it within 1 hour? Because normally I want to keep the webinars to strict to 1 hour. But there were so many questions that at one point I was thinking, shall I split it into 2 sessions? And then I decided I will keep it in 1 session. So I tried to be fast and I tried to finish it within 1 hour, but maybe we will stay a little bit longer, but promise the questions are amazing. We will cover with you Cyprus lifestyle. These are the topics that we summarize the questions. So we have lots of questions about lifestyle. We have questions about property investments. We have questions about immigration permits. We have questions about taxes, employment, and investments in general. So let's start. And guys, I actually asked marketing to keep the names of people who left the questions. So if you are here and if you see your questions, please wait for the next part because that's what I will be answering. Okay, so there are lots of questions about lifestyle, about health, living condition, cost of living, investment, etc., etc. So before I go to specific questions, let me talk a little bit about Cyprus lifestyle. And we are talking, the first thing, what are the reasons to relocate to Cyprus? There are 7 big reasons to relocate. The island has a friendly, multicultural environment. And this really means that you and your family members can settle in quickly and easily. I think when you're thinking about relocation, this is one of the main points. Will I feel comfortable? Will my children, will my family settle quickly and easily? Will it be a huge change? In Cyprus, we have already helped hundreds and hundreds of people to relocate, and we can tell you that in most questions, in most cases, the move was very easy. In the last 10 years, Cyprus has made a major leap toward developing the island infrastructure, and now it's fully compliant with European standards of safety and comfort. What does it mean in practical terms? In practical terms, it means that you are coming to a small country, but you have excellent infrastructure. And I can see a wonderful comment from Vlad, Cyprus is paradise, and I would agree. And you know, I do believe that Cyprus is a paradise. Of course, paradise has some challenges as well, because there are some challenges living in Cyprus, but I'm a huge believer that if you know what to expect, your move and your life will be much more comfortable. Cyprus is really family friendly. It's an amazing place to raise and educate your children. It's quite easy to enroll, and there is a wide choice of private and public schools. It has some of the lowest taxes in the world. The authorities of Cyprus is really pushing hard to make it very attractive for relocation of business and relocation of people who are active or people who already earned money. So Cyprus is not an offshore jurisdiction, but it's an excellent financial center. Permanent residency program is fast and straightforward, and I will talk more about that. And Cyprus has clear and simple laws for foreigners to buy or raise the property. Today, I will not go with the fun facts about Cyprus, but if you want to find out more, we will be happy to share today's presentation, and you will be happy for the next game of facts about Cyprus, and you will know, for example, that the oldest wine in the world actually was 2000 BC from Cyprus. There are also very important advantage of Cyprus being really environmentally friendly country. We do not have any heavy industry. We do not have heavy pollution. We have cleanest beaches in Europe. Weather is amazing, 340 sunny days per year, excellent healthcare, hospitable locals, easy to travel everywhere through 2 international airports, British law-based legal system with all the law available to read in English as well, English language widely spoken, but here I need to make an addition, not only English. Practically every language is widely spoken in Cyprus, and there are lots of communities of people speaking various languages. It's one of the safest countries in Europe and one of the safest small country in the world. Good education, lots of lifestyle opportunities, modern banking and legal system. There were lots of questions about legal cost in Cyprus, and what we prepared just a snapshot of what to expect in Cyprus. Of course, you can spend very little or you can spend a lot. But be prepared that, let's say it's a small family of 2 people and you don't spend excessively. For water, you will be paying roughly 25 euros per month. For electricity, every 2 months from 60 euros, but it can go higher depending on how much electricity you're using. I'm very happy to say that luckily for Cyprus, more and more developers and more individual owners introduce photovoltaics system to generate solar electricity. Petrol per liter now is from €1.40. The public transport is not perfect, but it is improving a lot. So public transport within a city is €2 per trip. There is a plethora of various restaurants. You can go to something very simple, or you can go to equivalent of Michelin star restaurants, but restaurant meal can go from as little as 13 euros. Vehicle insurance from 200 euros and going up. There were lots of questions about healthcare, and I'm very proud to talk about Cypriot healthcare now because it improved dramatically. When I just moved to Cyprus, in a way there was only public system which was quite poor, or private system which was very expensive. But since 2020, Cyprus introduced National Health Insurance Scheme, which is called YESI, and foreigners under certain conditions have access to the National Health Insurance Scheme as well. And there you have allocation to a family doctor, GP, who would refer you to a specialist, and you will only pay €6 per visit. You have practically free tests and operations, discounted or free medicines, and access to public or private clinics. Because Cyprus is a small country, but we have lots of clinics and we have lots of doctors, so there are only 245 people per doctor. In practical terms, it means that you do not need to wait for very long if you need to see an expert. I have experience of comparing it with the UK, national healthcare system, where for anything you need to see, we had to wait for a very long time. As I mentioned before, if you are European citizen moving to Cyprus, after registering at the immigration office, and I will explain to you how, you have access to YESI. But also, if you are non-European person, but you get permanent residency by investment, and you spend some time in Cyprus, because to actually get access to YESI, you need to stay roughly about 6 months in Cyprus, then you have access to this wonderful system. But if you do not qualify, you have access to the private hospitals. There, you will need to pay more. Private visits would cost you roughly from 40 euros per visit, but there are lots of health insurance packages. And the insurance companies, there are lots of options again in Cyprus, so you can choose. I believe that healthcare is a huge benefit now. Okay, I can see question from Timothy here. When you say European, is that EU? Does it include UK? Unfortunately, after Brexit, it doesn't include UK. But if you're moving from the UK, you can get permanent residency by investment, and I will explain to you how it works, and the investment is not that high, and then you will have access to YESI. There is a wonderful question from Eva. How is Cyprus infrastructure for seniors? Any senior friendly? It is getting better. I can't say that everywhere it is fully accessible, but the improvement in the infrastructure is huge. More and more cities have separate lanes for the disabled access. By law, the restaurants now need to have access. More and more developers are taking this into consideration when they are preparing their project. So it is definitely getting better. Now, moving from the health, which is one of the main pillars, we had lots of questions about families moving with children. What about education? Education in Cyprus is obligatory. Every child has to go to school. There is big choice. You can either send your child to a public school, which is free for everyone, regardless of nationality, but you need to take into consideration that education will be in Greek, and curriculum is Greek curriculum. So again, as long as you are aware, and children learn languages very fast. So in the beginning, it's a bit challenging, but then they learn the language. And it's amazing now to see, like, we have some projects near the public schools, and when there is a break, you can see all the different nationalities, okay? If you do not want to go to public school and you want your child to have education in your language, there are lots of private schools. Here on the slide, we only mention English language school, but there is French school, there are Russian language school, there are more varieties going on. Like now there was a big announcement that there will be a new Jewish school in Limassol. So the private sector is catching up with demand. But if we look at the private school with British curriculum, the pricing is less than in Europe. For primary school, we're looking between 3,000 to 6,000 per year. For middle and senior school, between 5,000 and 10,000 per year. In most cases, they follow A levels and IGCSE, but more and more coming with a different curriculum as well. Cyprus is pushing forward with its agenda to become the Mediterranean center of higher education. So more and more universities and colleges are opening. There is huge variety of sports and art schools, and again, the level is improving every year. As mother of 2 children, I can definitely say that I've seen huge improvement, and the level of education is quite good. Like my oldest son, he finished the school, and on the basis of his A level and his apoliterio, this is the Greek certificate, he is going to a very good university. So the level is very good. In general, as I mentioned earlier, Cyprus is definitely very family-friendly country. I'm not going to talk a lot about regional specifics, but I already asked my team to share with you in the chat links to our other webinars, which are fully dedicated to more narrow topics. So now I will not be describing Paphos, even though like when I go through the slide, please check where the area is located. So if we're talking about the main regional specifics, then we have Paphos, we have Limassol, we have Larnaca area, and we have Famagusta area, which is Ayanapa and Protaras. There were lots of questions, and I will address them later, about Southern Cyprus and Northern Cyprus, which is quite, it's not a difficult subject to discuss, but it's an emotional subject to discuss because, as you probably know, Cyprus is one of the, probably the last divided country in Europe, where after the invasion of Turkey, the 1/3 of the island is on Cypriot maps, it will be described as illegally occupied territory, but in practical terms, very often it is referred Northern Cyprus or Turkish part. But in a way, it's one island, and there is Republic of Cyprus, and there is 1/3 of the island, which is referred as Northern Cyprus or occupied territory. We as Cyprus Sotheby's, we only operate in the Republic of Cyprus. So everything that I am describing now, it's about the Republic of Cyprus. But I will answer the questions, what it is too important to remember if you're considering retirement in the Northern Cyprus. Okay, so that was a general thing. And now I'll go back to your questions, and please, if you are here and your question was answered, just put a plus that you heard your answer. So we covered the questions of George and Yishai about healthcare and health insurance. Remember, you have either the access to the private hospitals via the insurance policies, or if you qualify, you can go with National Health Insurance Scheme, YESI. There is a question from Vera, how easy it is to relocate. In my opinion, if you are prepared, if you work with professional consultants, or better to say with professional advisors, and you get ready, you get your knowledge, you get all the understanding of all the steps, in that case, it's very easy to relocate. And if Cyprus is for you, which you will feel under the first visit, it will be a very pleasurable experience. Of course, as always with any changes, you need to be prepared for the changes and adjustments. And I always discuss with our clients, with my friends, that the first year after the move is in a way the most difficult, because this is the period of adjustments. Living conditions, employment possibilities, health insurance, we covered. Cost of living, we covered. Division of Cyprus, I covered. But here we have the question about future threats. Of course, I'm not a politician, and I don't want to be a politician. so I don't want to cover that extensively. But Cyprus, Republic of Cyprus, is part of the big political bloc. It's part of the EU. So I personally do not believe that there are many future threats, because we are not just a tiny country. We are part of the European Union. So I do not see any high potential of the future threats. Very interesting question from Simon about cost of living, snakes and spiders. We covered cost of living. Let's talk about snakes and spiders. There are some snakes in Cyprus. The only poisonous one is the vipers. But you know, when I moved to the area slightly near the mountains, and I found the snake's skin in my garden. So of course, I got very scared. So I went to the expert. We have an expert on snakes, and even his name is Snake George. And I got the full consultation. And there were several things that made me feel very comfortable. And I hope that it will make you comfortable as well. The first one, he said that snakes are very clever and they do not really want to attack you. So unless you step on the snake, it will not attack you. They hear the vibration and they really go away when people move in the area. That was one thing. But the second thing, which again made me sort of feel comfortable, was that because there is only one type of poisonous snakes, all the hospitals are prepared. And if you don't panic, you can definitely have enough time to go to the hospital and be protected from snakes. So since then, I personally not scared at all. Of course, I have the screen, how you call it? The fly screens on my windows, so no one can crawl into the house. So of course, you use common sense and be sensible. Okay, now let's go to spiders. Yes, there are spiders, but to my knowledge, there are no poisonous spiders. Some of the spiders are quite huge. So again, depending on your level of Greenpeace, how I call it, you can, like what I do, I have a method where capture the spider and run with it outside, so the spider is safe, but it's not in the house. So again, it's unless you have like really severe case of phobia of spiders, I think you will be absolutely fine. There is a question from Mira about cocktail. I don't know this. Mira, I don't know this type. Let me check. If it's a black, huge one, the black snakes, they are scary, but they are not poisonous. But I will check with an expert and come back to you later. Why invest and live in Cyprus? I think I covered it. Does this apply to North Cyprus? No. What I need to be aware of and prepare for when retiring in North Cyprus? You need to be really careful about the legalities of properties, of legality of ownership. Be careful not to buy properties that before 1974 belonged to Greek Cypriot, because then you're buying something that doesn't belong to people who sell it. Be careful with the health and hospital facilities and with the taxes. So that's what I would say. The unfavorable immigration, if you mean refugees, we do have, but again, I personally don't see it as a massive problem, even though, of course, we are not exempt of it, and we did have some problems with that, but not a major one, and I believe that now it's under control. Okay, so now I can see the cockroaches. Okay, yes, the cockroaches in Cyprus, they are huge. They are like this size, so like when I see them, I sort of prefer to look at them as bags. Here, you just need to bring the pest control regularly to your house. So they will check the sewages, they will check the septic tanks, and then you will be okay. And also put the fly screens. Next question: how to live there without buying a house from the UK? I think, Lee, there is a dual question. One is the how to live. You can definitely rent here. But if you want to stay longer than the visa allows, then I will cover these questions in the immigration part. I want to buy a house and to live here. We will be very happy to help. So book your free consultation above the screen and we will help you. Everything about the country, I will share the link to the more in-depth webinar when I'm talking more about the country. So again, it will be covered. And I think that, okay, question from Costas: what would happen if I fell ill and could not work? Would I be able to claim a benefit to support from the state? This would depend on your immigration status and your work status. So guys, amazing. We covered the lifestyle questions, and now we're moving to a big part of questions, everything connected with immigration and with the residency. And I think that here would be the question that I can see from Fred about the Schengen visa with property ownership. I will cover it as well. So guys, if you see your name, your questions will be answered after I cover all the major points. So when you relocate to Cyprus, or when you move to Cyprus, or even if you stay in Cyprus, you need to understand how long can you stay and can you stay. Okay, so let's start. Actually, we'll start with the easy one, with Europeans. And please put plus if you are European, because this will be quite much easier. Because you know, Cyprus being part of the European Union, it's also governed by European rules. And in Europe, we have 4 major freedoms. And some of them is freedom to move to any European country, and freedom to reside in any European country, and freedom to work in any European country if you are European. So when you move to Cyprus, the only thing that you need to do, you need to register with immigration that now you live in Cyprus. So within 4 months of entering the Republic, you will need to go to immigration department and get so-called yellow slip permit. So as soon as you get yellow slip, you automatically have the right to legally work and live in Cyprus. You can also register with ESC, and to register, you need to be physically present, and just like you need to show residency. What do we mean by residency, or what does immigration mean by residency? Even if you are renting, you need to show rental agreement that you have a place to stay in Cyprus, and also to show that you have some means to stay in Cyprus, a bank account with at least 1,000 euro available. So with Europeans, it's very easy and very straightforward procedure. Now let's move to non-Europeans, which Cyprus is an amazing place with easy structure. So the first, and I would say the most transparent way, is the permanent residency. It has lots of names. It has lots of names of this permit. It is called sometimes golden visa, permanent residency by investment, fast track residency, but the official name is the permanent residency 6.2. So here we have quite a low investment threshold. It's a really, really good program that has been operating for years. It's one of the programs in Europe that gives you permanent residency, and not temporary residency. So it's low investment threshold. The PR status granted to the investor's spouse and dependents. You buy a home in the sun, no language exam, no medical test, no interview, no tax consequences, and quite a short application processing period. When we talk about the investment criteria, here we're talking about the minimum amount of investment, 300,000 plus VAT when applicable. And you have 4 different routes: residential property, non-residential property, investment in the share capital of a Cypriot company, investment of units of Cyprus investment funds, and you can also, for the last 3, you need to show that you have a place to stay. You need to show that you either rented a place or you have a property that you bought. Okay. I can see a comment from Mira that don't make the yellow slip sound so easy. It is impossible to make an appointment. I think that here we need to, again, it's expectations. If you want to make appointment tomorrow, it's impossible. But if you know in advance that you have 4 months that you need to make an appointment, you can either do it yourself or you can go through the solicitor, who of course that's why they're solicitors, they're charging for it. But there are solicitors who specialize in it and they make the process more simple. But yes, of course, there is bureaucracy, and the most difficult part, like Mira said, yes, it is to make an appointment. So if you're European, have in mind that it's 4 months, so plan in advance so you're not stressed. And then you need to book this appointment in the immigration point. Okay, let's cover. I will talk about the naturalization as well, but let's cover one more type. Actually, 2 more types of permits. So, okay. You cannot just go there and make an appointment. I will double check. So I will not say it now. I will double check and share this information as well. So now let's talk about different type, again, for non-Europeans. And this is called permanent residency, category F. So here you are not really connected with a fixed amount on investment. Like the previous one, you needed to have minimum 300,000. But for category F, you need to show that you have connection to Cyprus. So ownership of property, any amount and any type. For this type, you need to show guaranteed annual income. And the big point to remember that number 1, your children will lose this type of residency as soon as they turn 18. You cannot be director of your company. And the biggest part, even though it's written in our presentation 12 to 18 months, but at the moment the program has been suspended for a long time. And only now they start reviewing the application. So it's a very, very long process. So people who go with the permanent residency category F, first they go with a temporary residence, which they need to extend while waiting for the residency of category F. Now, there were questions about naturalization. How long? Okay, so here it is. How long do you need to live there to, hold on, for the, how long to citizenship for non-Europeans? I need to mention that if you, in Cyprus, we have two naturalization schemes. One scheme, if you live here, but you don't work here. So let's say you have permanent residency or temporary residency, and then you want to be naturalized. At the moment, the latest information, which I checked today with the immigration lawyer, you need to have the permits in Cyprus and stay in Cyprus for 8 years. You need to prove your residency, that it's not that you just have the permit. You need to show that you stayed in Cyprus for, if you add all the days, it has to be at least 5 years. And overall, it's after 8 years. If you move to Cyprus as a highly skilled professional, then we have a fast track route to citizenship, but it's only for the highly skilled professional employees. There, you can get, you can apply for naturalization either after 3 years or 4 years, depending on your knowledge of Greek. You will need to pass exams, and depending on the level that you pass, it will be how many years you go. Okay, so let's go now to questions that were sent before. Can residency be achieved with a mix of residential and investments? Yes, it is possible, but you need to make sure, and you need to consult with the immigration lawyer. I'd like to know the latest regulation as far as immigration for third country nationals. We have covered it prefer. Can you provide accurate key information for the following? Pink slip, category F, and golden visa. Pink slip is temporary residency. Category F is a permanent residency without connecting to the fixed amount of investment. And it's a very long process. It was frozen, if I'm not mistaken, for 4 years. So all the applications, even the old one, they are still in queue. And golden visa, the official name is 6.2. This is what we have in advance. Again, today I only covered general information. If you have more specific question, please book your free consultation. It is completely free, and we will be able to discuss in details everything. How to make an appointment for a yellow slip and tax certificate seems impossible unless you pay hundreds to an agent. You know, because I'm not an immigration lawyer, Mira, what I will do, I will double check. I have your contact details. I will double check. I will write it down. I will double check with immigration lawyers and come back to you with this answer. How to apply for the PR when owning 2 properties already. Also, if you need to purchase a third apartment, what are the formalities? Okay, you are allowed to apply for PR 6.2 with 2 properties. But that program has very strict criteria, meaning that the properties have to be bought from developer, meaning that they cannot be resales. So you need to double check. Also, if you are non-European, you need to be careful with how many properties you purchase, because for non-European, there are restrictions of how many properties you can own. So maybe you will need to do a different structure of ownership. Again, we will be able to help you with that. Financial requirements to get citizenship. Carmel, we do not have citizenship by investment anymore. So to get citizenship, you have requirements to stay in Cyprus, or if you go with the highly skilled employment, you need to know the language. And I already did, to Daniel, I described the path to citizenship as well. Question from Jane. If I purchase off-plan for the residency scheme, do I have to pay 300,000 upfront to the developer? If so, what guarantee security can be put in place? If you want to submit your application for the permanent residency as soon as possible, then you have to pay 300,000. You cannot submit your application before you have proof that you paid this money. Regarding the guarantees and securities, there are possibilities to put in place. When previously we discussed, of course, it has to be discussed with developer. Okay, maybe there is a possibility to do a joint signatory account where the funds are released based on the stages of construction. Also, the securities can be put in the sale agreement. So, in short, there are instruments to protect you. So, again, we will be happy to assist. And also, I think that here, the local knowledge will be the key. Because, you know, as agents, we know the history and background of every developer that we work with. So here, of course, the past is not guaranteed for the future, but even based on history, we would advise you what provisions to put in the sale agreement. Residency rules for retirees and work permits for younger people. For retirees, you will need to follow one of the schemes for the immigration purposes, because that's how you need to understand which permit would be suitable for you to stay in Cyprus. Work permits for younger people. The work permits in Cyprus are given to the companies, and the companies will be, I will rephrase it. So the work permits is given in connection to the specific employment. So it will not be that the person gets the work permit and he can go and work in any company. No, he will need to go to the company that will be able to give him work permit. Now, there are lots of international companies, and labor market in Cyprus is very restricted. As an employer, I can tell you for sure that it's sometimes a struggle to find qualified experts. So if the person has good education and good skills, there are possibilities. I'm not saying that it's very easy, but depending on the skills and depending on professions, this is really, really doable. Question. If I have a Portuguese passport, what do I need to become a resident in Cyprus after buying a property there? You need to go with the yellow slip route. What are the basic requirements to be approved for a permanent move? Again, depends on your nationality, and that's why you go above and you see what you need. Okay, so that was a question that I had to check with the immigration lawyer, because according to the rules, you cannot have permanent residencies in two European countries. But if you have temporary rules, then you can get the permanent permit. What I want to mention as well, that we are not immigration lawyers, but we have excellent network of really good immigration lawyers, and they will definitely offer you free initial consultation if you have questions. Permanent residency on Australian passport, the same as for any non-European. And visa options we have covered. Now let's go back to the questions. Mira, because now it's very narrow, I prefer, and it's important, I prefer to double check. I will check and will come back to you. That's absolutely correct thing, Vlad, about the citizenship by investment. And in Cyprus, it was, we did it with passion. So even we went out of the program with passion and with a big bang and with a big thing. but the citizenship by investment in Cyprus has been stopped in 2020. Okay, title deeds I will cover a little bit later. Chris, if I want to buy a house of 500,000 and commit 300 down, can I mortgage the balance? I will double check, because initially it was said that the whole amount has to come from the personal funds for the permanent residency, but I will double check. Okay, dual citizenship, yes, so if you have dual citizenship, so you can probably apply your Polish citizenship, which is European. Okay, now, very important part, taxes and finances. I will try to speed up, okay, because again, I'm not a tax advisor. So guys, if it's something, I always prefer to do this disclaimer because it's important. So I will give you general information, but if you want to get detailed consultation, this is our free offer to you, present for being at our webinar. We will arrange for you free consultation with an expert. So you will need to book free consultation. But if we go in general terms, then we have 0% on passive income for non-domicile, 0% property tax, 0% inheritance tax, 5% pension tax, corporate tax at the moment is 12.5%. There are discussions of changing it, but at the moment, this is what it is. If you have a company that is connected with IP, intellectual property or IT, then your corporate tax can be as low as 2.5%. There were quite a lot of questions for taxes from the UK. And in February, we have run specific webinar where I invited tax experts dealing with the UK. So we will share with you the link and you can watch it in your own time, where we were comparing the taxes in the UK with taxes in Cyprus. I'm not going to go in details, but we will share the link so you can check it. But you can see that, guys, there are so many things that when you move to Cyprus, you don't pay taxes. And Cyprus is not an offshore jurisdiction. It's a fully legal onshore jurisdiction, just with very, very good taxes. Okay? So, there were questions about tax residency. So, tax residency is not connected with immigration status. Tax residency is connected with the number of days that you are physically present in Cyprus. Okay, so in Cyprus we have two rules. The standard rule, which is 183 days minimum to stay in Cyprus, and we also have the 60 days rule, where you are required to stay at least 60 days in Cyprus. They don't have to be consecutive. For both types, you need to have resident address here, but the difference is that if you want to go with the 60 days rules, you need to have employment or business activity in Cyprus. Also, you cannot spend more than 183 days in any other country. Okay? You cannot be tax resident in Cyprus in the last 17 out of 20 years. And this non-domicile status is valid for 17 years. Very important mentioning for all of you who is listening from the UK. In the UK, they calculate the tax residency day for the UK completely different. And there are lots of different cases. So if you're moving from the UK, you will need to see an expert for UK taxes. We can make introductions for the companies who specialize specifically for the UK residents moving to Cyprus, and they will advise. And yes, Mira, you are absolutely right that when you move as non-domicile, there is one tax, which is tax for year C for national health care. But still, the official description of the non-domicile scheme is that you have 0% tax. But yes, you are right, there is a tax for year C. If you are working in Cyprus, then there is an income tax. And income tax brackets are as described here. There were discussions this year, and we are sort of expecting the tax reform next year, so maybe they will be changed. The proposal was to increase the first step, to increase the tax bracket with 0% income tax. So that was the personal tax. Again, guys, important about the tax residency, 60 or 183 days. This will put you in the tax resident class, and then if you were not tax resident in Cyprus, you can benefit from non-domicile tax regime. Now we will talk a little bit about the taxes connected with properties. I'm not going to go in details because VAT is a huge part, but you need to understand that all new properties in Cyprus are subject to VAT. At the moment, some ready properties are subject to VAT as well. So even if you're buying resale properties, you need to check whether there is VAT or not. Standard VAT amount is 19%, but under certain conditions, there is a possibility to get reduced VAT 5%. 5% would only apply if you buy property for your personal residency in Cyprus. It's only one property can benefit from reduced VAT, and you cannot rent it out. So if you go for the reduced VAT, then you cannot rent it out. This rate is given for the 10 years. So if you want to sell it earlier, you will need to refund it. To make it more complicated, we have now two types of properties with a planning application before October 2023. There you can get 5% for the first 200 square meters of any properties, regardless of the size of the property or the value of the property. We also have properties with planning applications after end of October 2023. And there we have stricter limitations. So you will need to check the value of the property and the size of the property. So if the property is worth more than 475,000, then this property is not eligible for 5% VAT. If the property is bigger than 190 square meters, then the property is not eligible for reduced VAT. Okay, so I'm not going to go into details, but we prepared a checklist. So always, if you're working with us, we will cover it anyway. But if you decide to look for properties or see something, understand for your current search, have this checklist in mind and always check it with the developer. Okay. There were also questions about the banks and possibility of obtaining mortgage in Cyprus. We recently had training with both Bank of Cyprus and Hellenic Bank, and they confirmed to us that they are giving mortgages to foreigners. that they will see each case individually. They have different mortgage schemes, but more or less you should look about 6% mortgage rate. Again, little star that this is valid what is happening now, but the banks are giving mortgages and you just need to, we have a straightforward process now for our company. We have allocated mortgage experts in each bank, so we can go straight to them and they will explain to us, they will explain to you absolutely everything. Okay, so I think I covered quite a lot about taxes. Capital gains, yes, there is capital gains tax in Cyprus. Currently, it stands 20% on the profit that you make from the sale of property. And of course, there are some deductions as well. Okay. We covered the tax residency. Registering a company is very easy. It should be done via the corporate providers, and there are lots of shelf companies that will, you can do it very fast, or you can open your company from the very beginning, and the government sped up this process quite a lot. So taxes and residency we covered. Taxation on properties. I will ask my colleagues to share the link to the webinar that I made in May, and it was fully dedicated to the taxes and additional fees on properties. But in big things, there is no property tax, but we have municipal tax, which some people call property tax. There is stamp duty and transfer fees as well if it qualifies. Okay, so I covered the question for VAT. And Colin, please request the presentation, because in the presentation it's more detailed, the explanation, so we can do it. Tax residency. To get tax residency, I need to buy a new property, pre-owned or no. Graham, here for tax residency, it doesn't matter whether you buy new property or resale. It matters if you want to get fast-track permanent residency, then you need to buy only new. Okay. Now I will try to speed up with investing, return on investment, and rent. Which rental option is more profitable, Airbnb or yearly leasing? It depends on your level of involvement, because if you are dealing with Airbnb, then you can generate much higher. But lately, the monthly rent increased quite a lot. So if you want more relaxed option of generating money, long-term can be a good option, because you just have one tenant, they pay you regularly, they cover all the costs, so it is a bit easier to handle. With Airbnb, if you want to make it as a business and you are doing most of the work, then it's very profitable. Or you can go via a management company, but then a management company will take a large part of the earning. What return on investment can I expect? If we're talking about rental yield in Cyprus, more or less now we're talking about 4-5% rental yield, but it can be more. And don't forget that the properties are going up in value now, so you will have your capital appreciation as well. Potential holiday home let question from Lauren. The rules and regulation relating to this type of property. The first and foremost is that now you have obligation to register the property with the Deputy Minister of Tourism, either as the owner has the right or the manager. So if you plan to rent the property via Airbnb or booking or holiday homelet, it has to be registered, and you need to pay taxes on this as well. This is the most important thing. Areas that are interesting to invest, there are lots of options. So again, within the subject of the webinar, I think I would prefer to leave it for the personal conversation. Best area for investment growth near the sea. There are not so much land left near the sea. If you're talking right near the sea, more and more spaces are already built. So you need to be more careful. Management of property when I'm not in Cyprus. It's still a bit of a challenge, I would say, because especially if you own property as part of the development, the key will be to have a good management company. Then it will be absolutely fine. The government is trying to change the old law regarding the management of commonly owned building, but it's still in process. So when we are working with our investors and when we have requests that they want to buy property and they will not be living there, so they just want to have peace of mind, we always recommend the properties with good property management companies. Step to purchase property as a Cypriot citizen living abroad. I will cover it, but it's very simple. Understand what you want, hire a property agent of your liking, and then arrange all the documents, make a short list, either do online viewing or come to Cyprus to see the properties, reserve the property, then it will be with reservation, the property is taken from the market and price is fixed, so it's already quite good. Then you sign the sale agreement, which is registered in the land registry, and then you enjoy your purchase. Okay, so regarding the yield, I already said you should look 4-5% is a benchmark, but there are options. Either when you go, like if you're talking about large investments, we have some cases where you can generate really good return on investment when you go as joint venture, or you go with a larger scale investment, or you go with flipping. So there are, like I said, we have these 5 major strategies to invest. Investment in your lifestyle with personal properties, buy to let can be various scales and uses. Early buyer, early bird strategy, when you enter very early into project and you really get full benefit of increase in construction stages. Participation in construction or the flip strategy. Okay, and I think that is almost the final part of all the questions about the employment. Are there any job opportunities in Cyprus? Actually, in these questions, I saw quite a lot of potential employees for our company. So guys, if you want to work as a real estate agent, as I mentioned earlier, it's a licensed profession. So you need to fulfill certain criteria. And one criteria is that at the moment, this profession is more open for European citizens. So again, just have this in mind. But if you have experience, if you have skills for real estate, you can send me your CV and I will have a look. How difficult it is to start your own business or to get a work permit. Regarding a work permit, if you are non-European, I mentioned earlier that everything depends on your profession and everything depends on your skills. Now there are job opportunities, but it will depend on whether your profession is in demand. So here I would recommend to check the portals with vacancies and just see if your profession is in demand, or just like in a way you can drop us a line and we will see if we can help you. To start your own business, it depends on the idea. but also you will need to check the structure, because if you're non-European, there could be some restrictions. If you get the permanent residency by investment, it's a bit easier because you can open your own company and you can be director as well. So, questions about agents' commission. In Cyprus, the commissions are always paid by the seller side and not by the buyer side. How can a real estate agent make sales and be successful? If you're an expert, if you know real estate, and if you know the rules, if you know the laws, if you understand the request, then you will be successful. Okay? And now the general question. Purchase of land. If you're European, you have no restrictions on how much land you can buy. If you're non-European, there are certain limitations, so you will need to double check how much land you can buy. Problems with here. There were questions in the chat as well about the title deeds. Yes, the title deeds, I would say that it's still a huge problem, but it's still quite a big problem, especially for the old properties. Unfortunately, we had this phase in Cyprus real estate when the construction was not as responsible as it is now. There were cases where developers took mortgages and haven't paid them, or there were some construction with mistakes from the permit. So there are still lots of title deeds outstanding. So what I would say that you need to pay more attention if the property is very old and the property is older than 10 years and it's without title deeds. Be a bit more careful and check the history of the property, why it doesn't have title deed. If the property is new, let's say it's not older than 4 or 5 years, then unfortunately it is a bit of normal situation. Again, here we just need to check the status of the application for the title deeds. Mortgage-wise, the situation now is much clearer. I think that now the legal instruments to protect the buyer from buying property that is mortgaged are very high. Now you cannot even, the lawyers are not allowed to register and sign the sale agreement unless they get the fresh search certificate from the land registry that shows all the encumbrances and all the mortgages. So it's practically impossible to get the property without knowing that it's mortgaged. If developers have mortgages, they have to declare it in the sale agreement, and they provide the bank waivers, which gives, in a way, it's a document where the bank confirms that this property is taken from the mortgage, so it will be free of encumbrances. Okay. So advice, don't disregard the property without title deeds unless you make the more thorough research, because sometimes the property doesn't have title deeds, but it is normal. Okay. What is the property price forecast for the next 3 years in Paphos? I'm a big believer that we cannot even say that everything about Paphos or the same information about Limassol, because we have lots of sub areas. In some areas, I would say that the prices already reached the maximum. In some places, not so much. And I will definitely advise you to subscribe and get our market research, our magazine that we publish every quarter, where we share all the information about the property transactions in residential market segment in all the areas, so you can see. Okay. opening a bank account. I think here I would need to know more information, because if it's personal, it's one set of documents. If the company, it's a different set of documents. So I would say that it needs a bit more information. Can I renovate a countryside home with agricultural land near the sea? If it belongs to you, why not? But if you're thinking that there are lots of countryside homes near the sea, there are not so many. The future of real estate in Cyprus, specifically in Limassol and Larnaca. Guys, I can only give my personal view, and I am a big believer in the basics of economics, and this is supply and demand. So as long as we have demand, we have good future of real estate. As long as we have end users, then the future is right. And you know, just last week we had amazing training for our team for the basic evaluations, and we went through the cycle of properties. And you know, in real estate sectors, every phase of the property cycle is good for specific purposes. So there are always cycles. The future is good because I believe that more people will be coming. And actually, when I was talking about permanent residency, I forgot about a very important thing that probably will happen. I'm always very cautious, but there are more and more discussions about Cyprus joining Schengen area. When and if it happens, demand for permanent residency in Cyprus will increase, because then with this permanent residency, you will be able to travel without visa. So if the permanent residency will stay the same, the demand will definitely go up. And we know supply and demand. Demand is higher than supply, the prices go up. Demand is lower than supply, the prices go down. So we always discuss openly with our investors where we are, which phase of the cycle, and what is your particular request, to be certain to find something that you will be happy with. Okay, so how to find properties which needs repairs or upgrade? Check the resales market, and our brokers, for every resale property, we have an allocated expert. So they will know which properties need repair, and it will always be reflected in the price. The process of buying and how to handle it, I already covered. Can my wife and me buy a house in Paphos? Of course. Okay. I think that, Andrea, I would prefer to double check this question with lawyers, because I think it's very specific. Finikud is promenade. Okay, here I think there is a potential of growth because the options are rare. Where to find a good agent? Of course, we will be very happy if you choose us, but I would say that you will need to verify the agent, whether he or she or the agency is suitable for you. Number one, only deal with licensed agents. I would always recommend to use the agents who are physically present in the country, so they know it's not that they're coming and going. We have lots of cases now when there are agents who are not licensed and they're coming from other countries and then bring clients from that country and sell them properties in Cyprus. How good do they know Cyprus? Are their kids going to school? Do they know all the specifics? Do they really know what is happening with the project? So I would say that go with the license, go with the local, check the credentials, check the testimonials, have an interview of an agent to see if you believe that this agent is knowledgeable. check the knowledge, and that's how you will find. I would also always advise that, when you choose an agent, stick to one agent. If you are happy, don't go everywhere, because you will only confuse yourself. Like I mentioned earlier, all the commission to the agents are paid by the seller sides. Every seller will pay commission, so it's not that if you go here, it will be something different, but you will get the full picture of the market if you work with one agency. The possibility of bubble bursting, that was actually my dissertation when I was doing master in real estate, and I was studying a phenomenon of bubble bursting. And there is one phrase there that you don't know that it's a bubble until it bursts, but there are some signs. So as long as I will give just like a couple of things, and just couple of things regarding bubble, and as long as there is end user, as long as it's not so much speculation, as long as it's not so much artificial demand, the possibility of bubble is small. What we have here, we have a natural cycle where the prices are going up because of demand. So in my personal opinion, it's mainly the cycle. We are not really in a bubble, because I don't see a lot of unhealthy borrowing. I don't really see severe cases of speculation. We have some, but not severe cases. But as I mentioned earlier, you don't know until it bursts. Cyprus property law is so complicated. It is, but at the same time, because the major thing, unless you go into very specific details, it's precedent law. And when you go the standard thing, it's quite transparent if you're working with the professional. Like a couple of years ago, when I was sitting the exam for the real estate license, which is basically a Cyprus property law, and it was in Greek. So I had to study everything first in English and then learn it in Greek as well. So I remember that the main law that was actually created, that was started by the British, that was so easy to understand. And then the modern laws, they became very, very complicated. But good thing that if you go with the standard things, with a standard scenario, then it's transparent. So, and yes, I can see, it provides for almost every possible scenarios. Yes, but guys, in reality, there are not so many scenarios. And what we have done as an agency, and actually I always follow it, I have really good partners, the professional lawyers. But if it's a complicated question, you know what I do? I never ask just one lawyer. I ask two or three to get their answer. Okay, so interested to find out whether any future golf resort development near Larnaca. You got to be honest, there were talks long time ago, but lately I haven't heard anything solid. At the moment, we have the operating golf resorts in Paphos, 1, 2, 3, 4 operating golf resorts in Paphos. We have one golf resort in Limassol under construction, and we have, if I'm not mistaken, 2 with permits, but they haven't started working yet. Okay, detailed process of buying real estate, quality of property, contracts for cross-border tax laws. We'll be very happy to share, but can you please leave request for the free consultation, and we will be doing provide this information. Market transparency and benchmark data. Okay, regarding market transparency, if you want to see general data, then it's very transparent. Every sale contract in Cyprus is registered in the land registry, and land registry publishes its data every month. It's an open data. You can go and you see how many transactions in each area, how many properties were bought by Cypriots, how many properties were bought by non-Cypriots, even with the splits European and non-European. So here you have this transparency. If you want to go deeper, then this information is available to the professionals. Like we as licensed agents, we have access to the deeper knowledge. So that's why we publish every quarter. Let me just show it. Every quarter we publish Insights magazine, where we provide analysis, analytical data, number of transactions, value of transactions, median prices of transactions by brackets, meaning by price buckets. So we just finished. It always comes with delay, because the land registry takes some time to do the data. So like in May, we published our report for the first quarter. Also, if you want to find even more information, we developed now as a company even deeper analytical report, where we can provide to you and discuss with you the data, what is listed in the area that you are interested, what sales were there, so you have a clear understanding. I don't quite understand what you mean benchmark data for top 10 Paphos project, I think the first thing from every Paphos developer would be, how do you class the top 10 projects? Okay, I think I will not really go into the general information, but only cover the buying process, because I think that's important. And then I will quickly go through your questions, because I apologize that we were so long, but there are lots of questions. So the buying process is quite easy. Understand what you want, and we helped you with preparation of the checklist, which we will be happy to share with you if you would like to, or during our free consultation, we will go through all the questions. Engage real estate advisor of your choice. We prepare together for your trip itinerary, KYC documents, source of funds documents, PR application documents if applicable. We even, before you come to Cyprus, are very happy to arrange online viewings for you, so you can have an understanding of the projects, if you want to view them or not, of the properties. View selected properties, appoint a local registered solicitor to help you with the process, pay the reservation deposit, sign the sale agreement and deposit it in the land registry, and enjoy your new home. And how we work, let me quickly go through this. I will not go through the associated costs. I will not go through the expenses. Okay, this is the magazine, the report that I was talking about. This is our beautiful team, and we always work with on the basis of expertise, efficiency, ethics, and style. I believe these are the values that the real estate agents bring to our clients. And we always start with a personal online consultation where we discuss your goals, and then we go step by step, supporting you and guiding and assisting you every step of on the way. Okay, so, and as I mentioned, our gift to you is a free online or offline consultation with an expert, or a consultation with not property expert, but with a legal, tax, relocation expert. And now let's go to the question that I haven't answered, and I will go from the bottom to up. No. Okay. Okay, question. How much is the selling commission? Do you mean the commission if we sell your property? The standard commission in Cyprus for selling the property is 5%. Okay. Question from Timothy. If we want to go with you but see a property advertised by another agent, can you still be possible to work with you? Of course. That's what it's all about. We have agreement with all reputable agencies, and we will work with them. So 100%, you will be able to work with other properties. And we work like that quite a lot. When we allocate a personal property expert to a client, then they discuss the property request. We see what we have not only through us, but through all the market. And we have an amazing AI instrument now that can find us property from all the market. So don't worry about that at all. Okay, next question. If I'm already a European citizen, what advantages will there be for me in gaining a permanent residency status? You don't need it. If you are a European citizen, you don't need permanent residency. You already have all these, you can already stay in Cyprus, you can run business, you can become tax resident. So for European citizen, there is no need. You just buy property and enjoy. In Paphos, there are still new, of course, what I meant, probably you refer ever to the comment that I made that there are not so many seafront properties. Of course, the construction activity is very active now. Every day or every week, we are approached by new developers. There are so many new developers appearing. So the construction activity is extremely active. Of course, there are lots of projects built. Okay. Can you elaborate about flip strategy, please? I think that, in my personal opinion, it's a tricky strategy, and each one needs to be considered separately, because the flip strategy is the best when you are using bank money. So here, if you can use mortgages to buy and you have a short loan, which again is a bit tricky in Cyprus, and you find the property that has lots of potential, then it works. But if you use your own money, sometimes it doesn't give you as much return as you can get if you go with the early bird. But we have seen some amazing cases with our clients. When they bought old properties, they used the leverage from the bank. They've done beautiful renovation. They've done the correct structure. They bought on the company, and the business of the company was working with properties, so they have less taxes when they were selling. So it is workable, but not as straightforward as in many other countries. In many cases, we have our investors getting good return when they were going with an early bird strategy. Okay. Is there a list available on the immigration office site, professions in demand? I haven't seen that. I would recommend to go to the employment sites, like there is Karierista, there is Ergodotis, and they're just judging by the vacancies posted by the employers. You will understand the professions in demand. Okay. Does capital gains tax apply to your residential property when you sell? Yes, but the rate could be different. Not the rate, but when you do the capital gains, you have tax-free amount. And if it's your personal residential property that you lived in for 5 years, then this tax-free bucket is much higher. Okay, so question for Mira about Yesi. I would rather check, because again, I'm not that 100% with the taxes. My business is in the Isle of Man. If I want to relocate and essentially work from Cyprus and draw my dividends from my offshore Isle of Man business, what is my tax liabilities? If you, again, general terms, it looks like you can become a non-domicile tax resident in Cyprus, and then it will be just easy. But again, for that specific question, let me put you in touch with experts on taxes. Okay. Okay. And okay. Advantages investing in South Cyprus. Look, guys, as I mentioned, I am an expert on the investment in the Republic of Cyprus, and I think that here you have transparency, you have the rule of law, you have title deeds, you have all the opportunities, you have everything is clear and transparent, and I think this would be the main one. Plus, I think that, okay, what I've heard, there were lots of restrictions for foreigners owning properties in the north, which is a big thing. So I would say that you would consider Republic of Cyprus as well. So I think I tried to cover as many questions as possible. I want to say such a huge thank you for all of you who stayed so long. We've been together for an hour and a half. That's probably my longest webinar ever. And I just want to thank you for your interest. I thank you for being interested in our wonderful island. And I want to invite you to come to Cyprus and visit us, even if you don't want to buy property, just to say hello, to say, Anastasia, I've been to your webinar. So it would be really nice. And I do believe that Cyprus, like Vlad says, Cyprus is a paradise with working of expectations, of course. This is our job and this is our value to you, to provide advice, to provide information, to educate you, to guide you, to bring you to result that you want. Maybe it is not even Cyprus, but maybe it is Cyprus. And our idea to professionally guide you to the best life or best investment in Cyprus possible. So thank you very much. Let's stay in touch and hope I will see you in Cyprus one day.